Good morning. Welcome, both of you. I'm really honored to have both Bjorn Farrugia and David Kramer. They're both good friends of mine and great agents based in Beverly Hills and Los Angeles. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, a little bit about me. I'm Justin Fichelson, first off, co-founder and CEO of Avenue8. And we are joined with Bjorn Farrugia. Bjorn is one of the biggest agents in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. He holds the highest unit volume for sales for the last 3 years in a row, the record at Hilton Hyland, which means he's doing a ton of luxury deals each year. Specializes in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Brentwood, Santa Monica, Hollywood Hills, West Hollywood, and the greater area. He is results-oriented, direct, honest, effective, and efficient in valuing properties. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, The Hollywood Reporter, and Los Angeles Times. Now on to David Kramer. Mr. Kramer is one of the biggest agents in the country. He represented the buyer of the Spelling $5 million. He's listed as the top 20 agent by The Real Deal, and is, well, both of you are all around great guys. So glad to have you here. I'll start out with a first obvious question. How have things changed and been affected by shelter in place, the COVID situation, and everything going on in the real estate market?
Bjorn,
David,
go for it.
You want me to go or you want to go?
Yeah, whichever I go. Bjorn.
I just want to say ditto.
Okay. First, I would like to say, good morning to everyone. Thank you, Justin, for having David and I. David and I have done a few deals. We've both had Hilton and Hyland, really great company, and I love it dearly. Regarding your question, Justin, I think in LA, normally there's probably 60 to 100 listings that come out in the market, generally in an everyday kind of real estate day. During COVID, there's been between 10 and 20, definitely less. Only real sellers were putting properties on the market. Over the past, I would say month, 45 days, there's been a lot more properties coming on the market, 47, 57, 37. I think there's definitely been some pause, reservation, apprehension. People don't know what the future holds, but there's also a lot of pepped up demand, a lot of money on the sidelines, and really, really low interest rates. So, over the last 45 days, 30 days, we've been really doing a lot of deals and really kind of getting real sellers in getting their home sold and, finding buyer deals. There are deals out there.
A lot of buyer deals.
Like there's only going to be more deals, in my opinion. Things are trending in that way. But if you want to sell, I think now's a really good time. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, that's perfect. What are you seeing, David?
Well, I'll just go back to kind of the beginning of COVID where literally we saw just a stop. Nobody knew what to do. We didn't know if we could show, could we be outside, effectively stay in place orders. And we slogged through. We had the right to continue deals. So I knew we could do that. And so we kind of slogged through things, and it was just this odd freeze. Like it was, completely quiet. And then I don't know, Bjorn, what you're seeing, but it's like all of a sudden there was this wave of people realizing, yeah, this is going to be our home now for the next few years, or we may not go on vacation. And all of a sudden
we need a nicer place to live.
Yeah. We had people pulling their homes off the market during the beginning of it. And then all of a sudden we're getting calls saying, will they still sell? And making deals, and it's now, and I spoke to you before this call, you said that you're seeing the same thing. It's like really, really busy. So
yeah, it's a weird time out there because it's, with everything going on in the world, the real estate market, is particularly the luxury market, is it's very busy. And I think it is because people are not going to be traveling this summer like they normally are. And people are realizing, I need a good home office. I want a gym. I want more space. I want a place to call home that I actually want to spend a lot of time in. So I think that is making home more of a priority than it used to be, for sure.
Yeah. And I've spoken to agents around the country as well. And vacation areas have taken off. Palm Springs has taken off. Malibu has taken off. The Hamptons have taken off.
Lake Tahoe, Lake Tahoe, Napa Valley. Try renting a house in Carmel right now. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of money, a lot of tech money's been buying a lot of stuff in Montecito, Santa Barbara. I have a client in Santa Monica that he goes to San Isidro in the hotel there every weekend. He's trying to buy a house in San Montecito for like maybe 8 to 15 million. And he said a lot of properties are getting bought sight unseen, just a lot of tech money. They have a lot of, it's kind of paid funny money. Maybe they earn it differently. And I feel, you know, they want their family to be safe, and they want ground, and they want acreage and space. And I think more than ever at this time, family is the most important, friends and the health and well-being of our community. I know David, I think about that. That's one of my highest priority, along with making deals. I'm sure David's the same, but I think taking that into consideration, I feel like getting more space is something that people really want. And, you know, LA is the fifth, you know, one of the biggest economies in the world. And there's a lot of money here, and a lot of people have the means. They want that, and they're willing to pay for it.
Actually, kind of on that, like how have aesthetics changed? Not just because of this, but just in general, because I know, you know, a few years ago, all the mega mansions, spec mansions being built were uber modern, you know, glass and concrete and, you know, kind of very flashy looking. Has that changed at all? I heard that they've become a little bit more like, have aesthetics changed to become, you know, buyer needs wanting more warm family oriented stuff? Or is it still kind of the flashy, glossy type of mansion?
I feel like we went through our bachelor years in LA, and that's kind of over. I mean, to encapsulate what you're saying, it's like it was all like a pad. Everyone wanted a pad, and now it's definitely becoming, you know, warmer moderns. You're seeing farmhouse properties. So yes, is the answer to your question. What?
I said people love the modern farmhouse.
I think the modern farmhouse, like a Howard back end, is beautiful. I think kind of to David's point, in the Hollywood Hills, kind of Bird Streets, there was a lot of kind of party, fun, kind of hanging off a cliff houses. And I think it's getting less. I think that's a phase. I don't know, David, if you agree with that, but I think even the farmhouses, I saw a great farmhouse yesterday in Brentwood, and I just felt like that probably has a lifespan. You know, I feel like if you can buy something more traditional or Spanish, they're very timeless in my opinion, and they'll always stay in time. I mean, David, would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely in the, you know, the Howard back in Napa Valley is kind of, you know, keywords we're starting to hear as well. But yeah, to get a clean traditional, I think you can't really tell when they're built. We're listing one that's 12 years old, and it was out of the architect was out of New York, and it looks new, and it's pretty amazing. And I think that is something, you know, when you can pick what year a house was built by looking at it, it's kind of.
If I can ask you, since this is all about breaking into the luxury market, how did you both break in? We'll start with you, David. You know, obviously every agent wants to break into that uber luxury market, and both of you have done a really amazing, like a phenomenal job at it. I mean, you know, Bjorn probably sells like 100 deals a year. You're doing massive deals. You just listed something for like 90 or 100 million dollars. But how? I guess what was the breaking point for each of you? Like, what was the point? Yeah,
Justin, do you mind? I would also say, kind of caveat to that part of the conversation, is like David, you know, he sold the Spelling Mansion for 88 million. At the time, that was one of the biggest sales in the history of America. You know, our company sold some of the biggest in the last year ever. Something sold to one of the Murdochs last year in December for like 150 million. But just kind of pressing to your point, I think David, you know, he sold at one stage the biggest home ever in America, being the Spelling Mansion. Totally. So I think that's something to bring to everyone's attention.
No, it's huge.
Thank
so,
you,
like, what was when you got into, like, how did you break into the luxury market?
Well, you know, it's funny. When I was in college, I decided I wanted to sell luxury real estate, and I always said you can sell down, but you can't sell up. Meaning, if I'm in Beverly Hills, I can sell in Santa Monica, I can sell in Hollywood, I can sell in Culver City. But if you're in Culver City, you're not going to be selling in Beverly Hills generally. So it was really funny. It's like, that was my life goal. I know Bjorn is actually kind of similar. You know, he really had a vision of what he wanted for his life, and, you know, he's obviously made it. And I had the same thing. It's like, I wanted to sell real estate in Beverly Hills. I wanted to sell high end. You know, it's definitely it's a long pathway to getting there because people always want to know your track record. And once you've got a track record, it's a lot easier. But getting to that point, Bjorn and I work together on a lot of things actually, which helps both of us. You know, we've literally kind of moved into an area and took the 10 million and above away from a 25-year veteran of the area, which was pretty amazing.
So how did you do that? Like, how did you go about distinguishing yourself and taking that market share?
Well, wouldn't you say kind of goes back to what I was saying is, you know, we were able to bring in clients to that area at higher prices. So we kind of had a victory together on one street where we
kind of had like a history.
Well, no, we didn't have a history. That was the thing is, you know, we got a price that was like $1 million more than the people said they would get when they interviewed the other brokers.
Yeah.
And the buyer came from out of area. So we were able to create more competition. And then that person referred somebody, and then it just kept going, and we kept doing it over and over. And it was it almost became kind of comical because we had all these letters saying we interviewed people and they could get us this and they got more.
Yeah.
You know, it goes down to contacts, reach, marketing, and all that kind of stuff.
But like when you started out, like what was the first, you know, because most people don't just start out in luxury unless they're very, very lucky. Like what would you say was like your breaking point into that? Like what made you, at what point did you become a luxury agent and succeed in that? Was it moving to Beverly Hills, living there? Was it hanging out in certain spots, networking with certain people? Was it getting lucky on one big listing? Was it focusing on marketing? Was it focusing on expired listings?
It's a process. And that's the thing, you know, people like say, I want to sell a big house, and maybe you get lucky and you get a big house. But it's a real learning process. It's everything you just said, and I think Bjorn will probably, you know, greatly agree. Getting one deal on one big house is not going to change your career. It's a process of knowing the people. I network with attorneys, so I get referrals in the very high end.
So that makes a lot of sense because in Los Angeles, I imagine attorneys and agents are really doing a lot of the business management.
There's a lot of that, yeah. But it's you know, to answer your question a little more directly, it is a combination of all of those things. It's your crowd, it's working that segment of the market. You don't just break into it and it doesn't just snap, you know, like a switch. It's a process. And I know like Bjorn has been very smart. I've watched, you know, I admire him. He shares listings with different agents in the high end, and I did the same thing. So what I would always do is say, like, who can I share with and learn from? And I started sharing listings with other people. Yeah.
That's really smart. And I think a great point. It's like the learning you're going to get from it, and also the credibility with being associated with that other agent is a big deal.
I remember one story was really funny because there was one agent who literally dominated LA, and I shared a listing with him, and then the next time I went up against him, I won, which is kind of interesting because I was like, you know, I knew what to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Bjorn? What was like the first time you broke into luxury, and what was that breaking point for you?
Well, listen, I mean, I still need to sell an 88 million like David, so I probably would say I haven't broken into it yet. But, you know, it really depends. I think it's a mindset. I think it's about who you affiliate with. I think you are who your friends are and who your associates are, and you want to be in the right places. Yeah. I think, you know, people think real estate's only about talking and being friendly and being fun, but you also have to be super smart, because I think deals are, you need to be a good negotiator. You need to think outside the box. But to get into the first house I sold was $387,000. One of the second deals I did was a $226,000 deal. It was a short sale in Reseda. I made $2,700. So, like, I mean, that's like, it took me 6 months to make.
How did you leave that realm to doing luxury? Like what did you do? How did you shift your focus, and where did you put your focus?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think it's about blanketing. I think it's a mentality. You know, I had a vision. I think David kind of hit it, and I have a goal, and I just kind of put my energy towards that. And, you know, I see myself, you know, a certain way, and I expect that. I keep myself really accountable to that. But I think it's about being around the right people and going to the right places and being able to talk when you're with those people. I also feel knowing the market is powerful.
Yeah.
And once you get around those people, you may, because everyone knows 3 to 5 agents, you know, everyone, like you, everyone knows lots of agents, but it's about having value, differentiator, and being kind of, what's your value proposition against the competition. You know, I think David and I joined forces on a lot of deals, and I think we together are a really potent combination because we're like yin and yang, and like I've got a lot of hair and he has none. So it's very like, but he's very much like, he's kind of like a broker, and he's like an attorney, and he's very measured and poised and calm.
Tear me down, build me up, man.
but also, I mean, there's some things maybe that I have that maybe, you know, are different for him. So I think, I feel like we got into the market that we were trying to do because we saw an opportunity, but in getting in those higher end clients, I think it's just about kind of believing in yourself and just being relentless about being in that space and giving yourself opportunities to get in front of the right people, in my opinion.
I think also you bring up a great point, which is that especially now where, you know, listings are immediately online on like a million different sources, you know, you have to show value. So you can't just say, I'm a real estate agent, hire me. Everybody knows a real estate agent. That's not showing value. Why should they hire you? So, you know, if you want to distinguish yourself, like provide value to someone. You know the market, you know the neighbors, you know how much the neighbors' houses sold for. You know what the best streets are in Santa Monica or Beverly Hills. You know, give them value that they're not going to get on their own, and then they have a reason to hire you, because they shouldn't hire you just because they're friends with you. So I think value, showing value and providing value is key.
I agree. I think as the market changes, and I think David, we always have nice little powwows, but I think as the market changes, for people that do a lot of deals, they're going to get more deals, because there's 6,000 agents in LA. 90% of them don't make a lot of money. And I think everyone has their uncle, auntie, friend that tries to sell their house. If the market changes and subsides, they want someone that's going to get it done. And because they can't afford for the market to kind of, as it goes down, you wait 6 months with an agent, that could be very expensive. So I think there could be good opportunities there, and like knowledge will be powerful, in my opinion, for sure.
And then, so for both of you, when you go into a listing appointment and you've got like 5 other top agents who are also showing value, or some of them are showing value as well, how do you distinguish yourself amongst that? Like when you're going in there, what are you going to show them that they're not going to, so that you win the listing?
Well,
just in a broad sense.
Right. To build on what Bjorn said, first of all, I think never tear down the people you're up against. I see that all the time, and I just think that's such a mistake. I think you have to accentuate what you do positively and what you know, where you can in fact bring value. You know, Bjorn and I now have a track record of doing that in a specific area. So we actually got a lot of reference letters, and they said exactly that. You know, because of Bjorn and David, we got more money. So, you know, again, getting back to track record, a track record like that is definitely very helpful. And if you don't have it, you need to figure out what your, I took a class years ago, and they said, like, what is your benefit to the seller? Forget you for a second. Like, what is your benefit? And I think you need to figure out what your benefit is. Like, what do you do differently? You know, we study the other agents constantly. Absolutely. You know, it's a battle. It's very competitive. We're warriors. So you need to know what your competition's doing and how can you do better. And, you know, you always have to be learning. Like right now, it's a very different time. And, you know, so you have to switch gears, and you have to be flexible and open. You can't do what you've been doing 2 years ago, because you will be out of business in 2 years. Yep. I firmly believe that.
I think that's totally true. The business has changed so much now, and the whole landscape. I think, you know, if agents don't adapt to it, I think what's going to happen is the agent landscape is going to be transformed. And I think a lot of agents, you know, especially the agents who got business from open houses,
right.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do now. It's a tough landscape out there. So just change.
And to get back to something you said, it was really interesting. You said like your family and friends, you know, may not hire you. I think they will not hire you unless you can show value. I think people are very clear. They want the best representation, the most money. And if you don't go in with that service-oriented goal, you're just not going to get hired.
And by the way, I get, like I'm sure you both do as well, you know, a ton of, you know, emails. Oh, I would love to be, you know, your title person, or I'd love to be your lender, or I'd love to, like, just offering your service is not showing value. Like,
Right.
what are you going to do that's going to make the transaction smoother for me? And then I'll switch, because if you show the value that distinguishes you, everybody would do that. So I think it's the same thing
Right.
as an agent, a listing appointment. That makes a lot of sense. What about you, Bjorn?
What was the question exactly again? Can you?
So, like, how do you distinguish yourself when you're going to a listing appointment and it's super competitive and 5 other top agents are going in there? Why are they hiring Bjorn?
I think what number you go in line is important. I think that's important when you're going up for the listing, knowing that's valuable. I think,
In what way?
well, because if you go first and someone goes last, the first person will probably be forgotten about because they're just attrition, just too much information. And it's a little bit of that, I think. I don't know, maybe David can speak to that. I think we would never, we're gentlemen. We don't lie, cheat, steal. We do things on the up and up. We never throw anyone under the bus. Everyone has their own style. I think it's about connecting with them. And I definitely feel like it's about showing value of how you can beat the market average. Anyone can list a house. Anyone can take a photo. That's easy. If you want to get a discount broker and get 1% or 0.5%, great. Do it. We don't do that. If you want to beat the market, get the most money, that's what we do. We've done it time and time again. We're happy to give you referrals from what we've done. I think this is, like David said, I think it's about providing a service. Hilton and Hyland, we're offering a white glove full service as part of what we do. We're there always. You need a tile guy. You need a mover.
I think at the end of the day, it's all about the agent. So, like, you could be at Hilton Hyland and be doing not doing a lot of business. Let's be realistic. Ultimately, you're providing these services.
People go to you for you.
Yeah, exactly.
The brand can help you and accentuate you. Depends what your goal.
They're going for you. Like, you have your own brand. You're Bjorn. People go to you because you're Bjorn. Just like they're going to David because he's the Kramer.
He's the Kramer. That's right. I think he knows. 1 minute. Yeah, he's the Kramer. That's for sure. But also, I think it depends on what price point you're working on as well. I think that's an important part in the marketplace. That can be another conversation. Sure. But I agree.
And what industries are driving where are the buyers coming from for these 10, 20 plus $1 million places? Because I assume they're probably, especially the 20 million plus, probably not mainly entertainment, but maybe they are.
I'm seeing entertainment, tech, banking, a lot of banking, a lot of hedge funds and financials.
Those are hedge funds based financial people, like based in Los Angeles or second home?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some people out of New York and San Francisco as well. Silicon Valley. I don't know, where are you seeing people from, Bjorn?
I think all those places that David spoke to, I agree, that's noted. I feel there's a lot of, per our previous conversation, Justin, there's a lot of people that have a lot of net wealth in LA. There's a lot of people from New York and San Francisco, tech money. SF it's dense. And New York is even more dense than SF. And a lot of people have gone to the Hamptons, like East Hampton, Sag Harbor, Southampton for the summer. But a lot of the money in New York, they went down to Bell Harbor in Miami. They're trying to get more space. I just did a deal in Malibu for like $80,000 a month for 2 months for the summer. Some guy flew out on his jet because he didn't want to be on Park Avenue because he's people want space. And if you have a lot of the means, like kind of financially, hedge fund guys, entertainment guys, tech guys that have the means, you want space for your family and friends that you're going to be safe. And I'm seeing like Malibu has a lot of space. And I think Brentwood Park, the West Side's crazy. I think Santa Barbara, Montecito, they're buying more scale land. Right. Something just sold. I don't know, David, if you noticed that just south of near LACC, LA Country Club last week, just south of Sunset for like 25 mil. And the agent double-ended it. It was on like four acres. There's been huge sales during the last 2-3 months because I think people that have a lot of money, I have a client in Santa Monica, they have like a $5 million house and they want to buy a $20 million house. I know David has a few of those clients as well. They want scale and space. They don't want anyone next to them. They want their kids to run around safe, in peace. If you have the means, if you have like 100 to 500 million plus, they don't care about like 5, 10, 20 million. They want scale, in my opinion. David?
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing the same thing. I'm seeing people who were not in the market are just saying, you know what, I want a bigger house.
Yeah.
The odd thing in LA is the 10 million and above has recently just taken off. It's crazy.
And is this, but the fact that they want more space, is this meaning that areas like Hollywood Hills or Bird Streets, where the houses are a little bit closer together, are they kind of decreasing in demand a little bit, and places like in Bel Air where the sprawling, estate are more desired right now? Or
I'm seeing more of a move west generally, but there was some very big sales in the Bird Streets. Recently there's been several. There was a whole bunch of off-market over 10 sales, which obviously we'll hear about in like a month or two. But quite a few. I was actually shocked at how many I keep hearing about.
I think so. I agree.
It's about lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of people that have traded, that have sold during off the market here in LA. And I feel, I've been feeling for the past 6 months to a year, people are kind of, Bird Streets are getting calmer. I think they're asking big numbers for per square foot price, 2,000-3,000 square feet. Things are selling, but west side, west of the 405, more land, beach, communities, more scale. I think that's a little hotter right now, in my opinion.
What do you both think about like the team structure? I know you both have teams. Like, do you want to have bigger teams? Do you like having a medium-sized team or a smaller team? Like in terms of succeeding in that competitive world there, do you think it's necessary?
I think it's necessary. I think it's becoming more necessary. I mean, the one thing is, we've been talking about the concentration of income in the agent world, where you're getting people who are more likely to hire an experienced agent. I think is you're going to see that trend continue. From our aspect, we're able to pool our marketing resources, so we come in very strong when we're up for a listing. And I know Bjorn does. The two of us like walk in and just there's papers everywhere and magazines and stuff. So for us, the marketing has increased heavily, and for me to do that on my own, I just don't know that I could. And then it allows us to cover different areas and do a lot at the same time.
Yeah, no, I know one thing that you both do have in common, and I think that all top agents do, like, it's hard work. Like, it's not like you get lucky because you have a rich friend and they give you their house. That generally doesn't happen very much. It's hard work. I mean, I was talking to Bjorn at like midnight last night and he was still working. So, I know you're the same. Like, it's a 7-day a week, 24 hours. It's not 9 to 5. And if, the harder you work, the great thing with, I think, this business is the harder you work, the more you'll see the results. You will directly see the results from hard work. Yeah. You want to put in the time and effort, you're going to see the results.
Well, and if I could just comment, the funny thing is, like, right now, and I don't know if you're both experiencing this, but a lot of times you reach out to agents right now and they're just not getting back to you quickly, and they're not, not concentrating as much on the business because they say there's not as much happening. But I think it's the other way around. You have to concentrate on the business, and you got to put in at least your 9 to 5. You just have to treat it like a business.
It's really not a 9 to 5 business. I mean,
but I'm saying it's like, you talk to people on our vacation for 3 days and I'm going here and I'm saying, you need to work and hustle.
I think, speaking to David's point, I think, it's real estate's not a job. It's kind of a lifestyle. It's kind of an addiction. The people that do it at the top level, like Hilton and Hyland has out of the top 20 agents at Hilton and Hyland, we have 12. Like the first agent and second agent at Hilton and Hyland are second and third in the country. I think David and I are like 5th and 6th, right there-ish, around that area. I'm not saying that to boast in any way because I always feel like I'm last, but I feel, you got to work. You got to live, breathe, sleep, eat, dream, inhale, exhale, blink. It's got to be all about it. And, you can't just switch off, I think, like David mentioned, because if you're sitting on your hands waiting for things to happen and the COVID's coming round 2 and it's not going to work, you're going to get decimated.
For sure.
Because you have people like, you know, a lot of agents that are aggressively hunting, and there's deals out there for sure. In my opinion.
Well, what would you say is the biggest change you've seen in the industry, just in general, like in the real estate industry, in terms of how business is done, how agent structure is different, you know, all of that since you've started in the industry, because you've both been in it for quite a while.
Well, I've been in the longest.
Are you trying to give David a compliment? Is that a compliment to David?
Or he's calling me old. I'm not sure.
Oh, you're an old bugger.
Both of you have been in it in a while. Like, how have you seen the industry change? Like, just in general, the real estate industry.
I'll go first because I'm the oldest here. When I got in the business, it was always a second career for everybody. This was not a primary career, and you didn't have, you know, necessarily the best and the brightest in the business. And it is now fierce. You've got just the best and the brightest, smartest people. They know it's a business. They go into it as a business. So that's the biggest thing I've seen since I first started. And I actually went into it directly from college, and I studied in college to become a real estate agent, and it was unheard of at the time. And now you've got people who are absolutely, you know, dying to go into real estate from college. So that's the biggest thing I've seen, is it's become a serious competitive business.
So I think in many ways, I think the TV shows have kind of driven that. You know, it's become
a lot
popular culture, and I think now people are like, oh, I want to be like so and so, and I want to be a real estate agent. So actually, I think from that perspective, it has been really good in the industry. But I think you're right; it's also brought a level of competition to the industry that wasn't there, you know, on the same level before.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. We definitely weeds out, and, you know, you have just the top is going to be left, more or less. What do you think?
I think I agree. I mean, it's a competitive business. You're kind of competing against other people. You're kind of competing against yourself to be better. I think it's a little bit of that. I played tennis, came in on a scholarship, so I've kind of got that competitive part of it. I think the business has changed. Like right now in COVID, like there's no paper, zero. We can't even give out flyers, brochures. We give nothing. So we're not even allowed to, in our office, give flyers and brochures, which is totally different. You know, everyone, where there's a lot of money to be made, like tech, everyone's like, I want to be in tech. I want to make a lot of money. I want to do real estate. They go in it, and then they realize this shit is kind of hard. Yeah. It's hard. That's why most agents don't make it. And most agents are super short-sighted as well. And I feel like what I did when I started was I tried to like speak to a lot of people like David and kind of understand how they did it and how they make it. And I think aligning yourself with a team at the start to learn if you want to start real estate is really smart. You know, I don't take a lot of people on my team. I only want the right people. I don't want a massive team. But I think learning from people, like I've learned so much, I think, you know, from David. I think we've taught each other a lot of things, but, you know, I feel like I've had the opportunity to work with different people's styles. And I think that's really smart when you're getting into real estate. You can make a lot of money, but you need to go to war every day. Yeah. It's not fun. You're not sitting in Mallorca on the beach drinking every day like Justin Fichelson does a lot. But you got to work.
I've never been in Mallorca.
Sorry?
I've never been to Mallorca.
He's in Greece now, though, Bjorn. Don't be so, you know, hard on him.
El San Pietro, Capri. I love it. All my favorite places. But I'm saying, you know, I mean, I think to get to like where David is, like, I mean, it doesn't come easy. It's hard, and you got to grind, and you got to continue to try to reinvent yourself.
I think that is the one thing with the TV show, is that on the surface, these TV shows, like, it looks glamorous and they're driving fancy cars and they're like selling, you know, fancy lifestyle. But, you know, the reality is it's a very tough business. And it's, you know, it's a lot less glamorous than people think. And, you know, you have clients that are giving you a lot of pressure. You're competing against 1,000 other agents, and, you know, it's a tough business. But definitely hard work. As I said, I know you both work pretty much 7 days a week. And, you know, that's why you're at the top of your game. In terms of the change,
for me, I feel like it's kind of like fun. Because if you don't make it fun, you'll jump off a bridge. Because it's hard. It's hard. And yes, you can make money, but you also can get exposed. You can get in litigation. People are very litigious in LA. I think, I don't like to give David a lot of compliments, but he's amazing at this because he's like an attorney. Like, you know, and I mean, you're good at drinking margaritas in San Tropez, Justin, but Justin's like, you know, David's like an attorney. And I think that's really powerful how you negotiate. And I mean, if you go getting the deal with the wrong person, it could be deadly.
Totally.
Very expensive. So I think, you know, that's why it's important to work with people at the start and learn the game.
Totally. And I think that's totally true. I think a mistake that a lot of agents do is they're going for like, I want to be at this brand, or I want this, I want, like, forget about that. Find an agent who's going to take you under their wing and teach you how to do the business, and who knows how to do their business, how to do the business themselves. That is going to be the most valuable thing, hands down, and the only thing that matters. And have no query about sharing your listing with them. Like,
not at the beginning. Absolutely not. That's the best advice I could ever give anybody.
Exactly right.
I think that's really good advice. I also feel like, you know, find someone that you connect with and you trust that's going to do the business like you, because there's a lot of unsavory people. I'm sure David and I have, you know, we trade war stories daily, nearly every other day about someone we do a deal with, and then they try to cut us out of the deal. And David told me he went to like an attorney, like crazy story.
Yeah.
And karma always comes back. I'm all about that.
Always.
You know, it's all about like putting good energy out there. And I feel like, you know, finding the right person's key.
The cool thing about the business is you make it your own, because, you know, to the yin and yang story, it's like Bjorn is absolutely relentless. That is his secret sauce is, you know, he just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah.
You know, mine is more tactical, and that's why together we've done so well.
That makes sense. Bjorn, he's like, you wound him up and he just keeps going, and it's like, doesn't stop.
I actually don't need a winder, actually. I'm always like,
we need to bring you down to our level occasionally.
I think in terms of like change in the real estate industry, I think it's absolutely true. I think it's been happening for a while, and you hear about these big companies, traditional brokerages laying off people and having issues now. So I think the shelter in place and COVID and everything going on has really accelerated the change. So like you said, now there's no caravan, you know, brokers tour happening. There's no open houses. There's no paper, you know, in terms of brochures right now. And I think everything is really, agents and the industry are really adopting to this virtual world of, you know, we're going to look online. There's tools, there's Zoom. We're doing a Zoom conversation now, and, you know, doing business very differently. And I think it's, you know, across many different industries. Obviously, retail is another one, but the change is happening. That's, I think, one reason why, you know, we co-founded Avenue8 is, you know, we see a change in the industry, and that, you know, there needs to be a brokerage that is truly agent centric and doing things differently. Just to wrap it up, because I know you guys are both super busy, we're just getting a couple lighter questions here. The coolest listing each of you have ever sold. I'm guessing it's a Spelling Manor for you.
Yeah. That pretty much was it.
Yeah, and you just listed one that's like 100 million, I think, right?
We just listed one in Bel Air that's $100 million. That is one of the most unique properties I've ever seen. When he went into the thought process of building this house, he wanted to build a resort, basically. And that's what they've done, is they built a resort in a house. It's 4 stories, and each floor represents a different purpose. Like there's the sleeping, there's the entertaining, and the very bottom is like a spa, an indoor pool, and everything else. There's a basketball court, there's a music room, there's room for bowling alley. He left it kind of as a flex space, you know, theater, of course, and gym and everything else. So it literally is a resort in a house, and it's just fascinating.
I imagine that's really desirable now. I mean, people are stuck at home, and, you know, they're not traveling as much. Probably exactly what people want.
The interesting thing, and just to kind of go back, is we're getting emails and calls from people around the world. They, you know, the hard part is they're having trouble coming here, but like they're saying, we're coming as soon as we can get on a plane and come out there to see this property. And they're verified. I mean, we've got some great people. So yeah, that's my uniquest listing right now.
That's huge. Bjorn, most coolest listing. And by the way, it doesn't have to be just price point. It could just be a house that you really loved.
I got a cool house right now. It's kind of like a mid-century. It's done by Harry Gensner. It's in Brentwood. It's kind of floating in the hills. It's a glass house. That's one of my favorite mid-century houses. I really like that house. It's unique. It's got great views, deck, pool. I have a really good listing coming out, which is probably one of my favorite. I've got a lot of favorites because I like real estate. I don't know. It's kind of like a James Peirce modern Balinese house, super private on a 22,000 square foot lot, very inside outside with a pool.
Where's that?
It's in Brentwood.
Brentwood, nice.
Yeah, it's coming up for like 13, 14 million, which is still getting that one ready. But, you know, I've seen some great kind of estates I saw a beautiful house on Billionaire Road on Hillcrest, which I think is on the market now for like 62 million. It was kind of that very smoke and mirror party house, but that was a pretty insane house that was had amazing views. It depends what style. I like lots of different styles, so I can resonate with lots of different areas. So I can appreciate, you know, just I even like Tudor styles. Probably the favorite house, my favorite house, I would say, is probably the Brad Gray estate, which sold on Carrollwood. I went there for a party probably about a year and a half ago before Brad passed away. It recently sold for $70 million. It was done by my favorite architect, who's from, I think he's from San Francisco, Howard Backen. This beautiful, it was not a big house, 8,800 square foot house. It was on Frank Sinatra's old lot. Wow. They scraped the house. They bought it for 11 million, and they built this amazing kind of L-shaped, modern black farmhouse, inside, outside, had an amazing gym. It's probably my favorite house that I've been into for sure.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing with you guys down there in LA. You have these houses that are like, you know, I think one of the few places in the country we have all these houses that are selling for 80, 50, 100 million, you know, 150 million. I mean, it's insane. I think last year there were probably, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, at least 3 listings in excess of 100 million.
There was at least 3, yeah.
That's amazing. And really a fairly new phenomenon. I mean, that didn't really happen, you know, 10 years ago.
Not in this volume. We were just talking before that all of a sudden I'm seeing a ton of $20 million sales. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen this before.
Insane.
They're hard to get. There's not a lot of like 10 to 20, 30 millions. There's actually not that many to buy. There's a lot of people looking for them, in my opinion. I know the guy bought a property. The guy who started WhatsApp bought a property for 100 million last year. David out in Malibu, he bought a famous producer's house. An agent sold their house to the Edmonton Oilers for 120 million last year.
Amazing.
Spelling Mansion sold for like 120 million. David, he sold it for 88. There was a lot of massive sales over on, I think 3 to 5.
Amazing down there. Okay, well, these are just quick questions. We'll wrap up. What favorite neighborhood in LA? We'll start with you. Just say the neighborhood.
Neighborhood?
Yeah.
Oh God. I'm gonna go with Bel Air. I always love Bel Air.
Perfect. It's a classic.
Yeah.
All right, Bjorn, favorite neighborhood.
I don't know. I probably would say Bel Air. I like west of the 405, Brentwood, Santa Monica. They're some of my favorites. I see myself living in those places, so I love those for sure.
The beach, nice. All right, favorite restaurant in LA.
Oh my God.
It doesn't have to be like a fancy experience.
I go to R&D Kitchen all the time. It's not a big one. It's right on Montana and Santa Monica. I like that. I like Giorgio Baldi. I actually like going to Soho House in Malibu. That's my spot. That's the best. Fun, outside, chill, great food, great people.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Nobu Malibu, same thing. Setting, great food, beautiful. I love the old place up in Malibu Hills. If you've ever been there, it's like a little saloon. It feels like you're, you know, going back in time. Cool. There's so many great places to eat in LA.
I love those old school places in LA. Like, you know, there's Dan Tana's and those types of
things. Great. Yeah.
Chiconi's is great. I think Chiconi's is great for drinks on Friday. Start the weekend off early. I think that's great.
All right. Favorite place to vacation?
My favorite place in the world is to go to the El San Pietro in Positano. I love that place. There's a tennis court there. It's the best tennis court I've ever played on in my life. I'm going to play on the Wimbledon center court. That's my next goal. But Positano is amazing. El San Pietro, you must go there. 100%.
Yeah, I've seen that. It looks amazing.
Beautiful.
So for relaxation in California, I'm going to go with Santa Barbara, El Encanto. Just beautiful. Actually, Bjorn turned me on to that. Santa Barbara, San Francisco for old bars, do a bar crawl. Nice. Amazing. And then I actually love Sydney. I had the most amazing experience in Sydney years ago where we were in the countryside on a farm, and then we stayed by the beach. So it was like farm and beach in one trip. It was amazing. People are amazing too there.
Thank you, David. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Now, one thing for Bjorn, at what point, because I know you were born in Bakersfield, at what point did you put on the fake Australian accent? Is that for business?
You know what? I thought it would help me get some listings, but actually, it actually doesn't. You need to know what the hell you're talking about.
And you need to understand them. That's the hard part.
Totally. I love my country, Australia. I'm born and bred in Melbourne. Big part of my life, big part of what has made me me. You got to go there. I think David, he went there. It's amazing. Great people.
Well, listen, I know you're super busy. I'm going to let you go, but thank you so much. Really honored to have both of you. You're both great friends of mine, great people, and both phenomenal, phenomenal agents. I'd say two of the best in the country. So thanks again for joining, and have a great week.
Yeah, you too. Great seeing you. Thank you again.
Keep up the good work with Avenue8 and appreciate it, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks. Cheers.
All right.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
one.